Hello, we are live on YouTube with a brand new episode of The Wrap right here on the Fight Game Media Network, right here on YouTube, recapping WWE Fastlane 2023. I'm Keila Cash, and by my side, as always, is my co-captain, my right handy, sometimes advocate for the still convalescing Von Wagner. I bring to you back here on YouTube at least once a month the return of Perky Scott Young. Hello, Perky. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Keila. As always, it's a pleasure to chop it up and talk all things WWE. I'm excited about the show. Thought it was pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, everybody don't feel that way, but we're gonna have a great conversation. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
A great conversation, you say. I have someone here that has compared this show to In Your House. Every In Your House has ever been on WWE.
No, In Your House 7 specifically. In Your House 7.
No.
Not the specific number, but he's compared it to every In Your House known to man and womankind. But he's back here today as an extra special guest because he has some San Jose tea for Monday Night Raw, and he's going to add some analysis from Fastlane going down live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Back with us today, I bring to you Jeremy Finestone. Hello, Jeremy.
Hello. I would call it In Your House adjacent. There was nothing on this show that was so amazing that you need to stop everything that you were doing to watch it. There were great matches. I had a great time watching it, but it was empty calories, if that makes any sense.
I can understand that to a point. I will say that it was a bit better than Payback, which I thought was like a 2-match show last month. Mm-hmm. This one was a bit more meatier in terms of fan reactions and some good matches here and there. But I do have a question. Who bought the horn to the arena tonight? Because they were going crazy.
The replay machine had a voice and it was yelling it out loud.
I just want to know who told the car to keep revving up. That first match was like rum, 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 and then they replayed every move. That was a lot.
Every time the screen switched, we got a engine hum. I work at a place where a certain sound plays whenever you need something to happen, like a bell, and I don't hear it anymore. And at my work, and that's basically what happened halfway through the show. I stopped hearing the engine run, like rev. And I was very thankful to have learned that conditioning in my life at some point because I didn't even notice it anymore.
Listen. I think they took it off. Because I stopped hearing it after like the second match too. So I don't have that condition. You know what I'm saying? I think they took it off. Y'all let me know. Somebody let me know.
All I know is the fact that I'm glad it stopped at some point, but I do appreciate that Triple H tried to make this a specifically themed show. It's called Fastlane. We're in Indy. Let's get some cars on the main stage. Let's give you the aesthetic that this pay-per-view feels a bit different. So I appreciate that. Fastlane actually matched the location and the theme of the show, which I liked. So points for that. But
yeah, it took me a while to realize, oh yeah, Indy 5000 Fastlane, all the cars going on. And I'm glad that they didn't actually destroy the cars because they were really nice looking cars. And the whole setup tonight, including Pat McAfee coming out, they really laid into the Indianapolis factor. And I think this gamble that WWE is doing, where they just go to every pay-per-view town and tell you, you know what? Hey, this is a great place to have Mania. Don't you agree? And they just get everybody going nuts. Brilliant strategy, WWE. Just keep it up, I guess.
One of them's going to land. One of them's going to be right. So why not?
Yeah. London, Indianapolis, just keep the hits coming. We're going to get Rihanna. It's going to be talking about WrestleMania in a couple weeks. We're going to get the same promo about Rihanna. It's like, wouldn't WrestleMania be great here? And then everyone's just going, yay, WrestleMania.
I was actually watching the Fastlane press conference earlier, and a reporter went there with Io Sky asking her straight up, hey, you and Taylor Swift, WrestleMania next year for the championship. What do you say? I'm like, of all the things to ask Io Sky, let's go for that dangling carrot of the moment. No. Please stop.
Nobody's trying to see Taylor Swift in her white t-shirt, You know, we know EO got style, but we don't need to see Taylor's.
That means that press conference went immensely off the rails. I turned it off after LA Knight and John Cena because I'm like, I gotta go do this whole deal right now. But the fact that somebody went in there with like a Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, EO Sky, some type of dream combat sports scenario. Boy, no. This is not what the WWE is going to be doing.
We done started this show talking about Taylor Swift and combat sports. That's an oxymoron if I ever heard
one. There's a new level for us.
The variety we give on this show. And right before I joined you guys to prep for the show, Cody and Jay admitted they were getting drunk on the bus after they won the championships. They were both kind of like
I heard a Stardust
out.
reference. Yes.
Yes.
Well, at least we know Jay's not driving tonight.
No. Ooh.
Good for him.
Ooh. That is good. Listen, get on the Nightmare Express.
You are free to relax however you see fit as long as you are safe and not endangering others.
Praise the Lord on that. That is very, very true. Be responsible. Get on that Nightmare Express. Cody's not driving either. Just ride to your next city in Atlanta where you live. Jay, what's up? A-Town down, the proper A-Town representation. So, we're good there. But yeah, that press conference. I guess
they discovered gold in Rose Conda.
Or silver in Rose Conda.
A little bit of rawhide.
Oh my gosh.
Found a little cattle grazing and made the best of it.
I can't with you. I really can't. This wraps up the pre-gaming of the actual review for WWE Fastlane. As we dive into this card, we got a little something extra special at the end of this episode for a fellow member of the Fight Game Media family that has a request for worst fathers, which is Scott's favorite subject. We'll get to that towards the end of this review. And Jeremy has some Monday Night Raw tea from San Jose as well that we'll get to as well. But let's get to our first match from WWE Fastlane. It was for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. It was the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus main event Jey Uso and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. A very hot opener. The theme of the night for a lot of these matches was sell, babyface in peril for a prolonged period of time. And then someone makes the hot tag to make the babyface save, which was good. And then more heat. But the crowd was mostly invested in this match. Jay is supremely over with the crowd. Cody as well. And Judgment Day, for now at the time, they had a lot of gold. But something happened on this show last night due to JD McDonough making a faux pas in the end. But Scott, your take on the highlights of this match as we got new undisputed WWE Tag Team Champs.
So real quick, fun match. But if they were losing this match, they have to take the belt off my boy Trick. Did you have to do Trick like that? I mean, what type of trick is that? Why would you pull that type of trick on Trick, man? If they're going to lose the titles anyway, frustrating. I will say I like the way Mommy is in charge. Mommy running that thing over there. Okay, let's put that out there because that backstage segment afterwards was fantastic. The match was great. Well, not great, but it was a lot of energy. I thought the crowd was fantastic. The finish I thought was an unnecessary crossroads at the end. I love the Cody cutter into what looked like a little bit of a 1D. I thought the finish was really good besides that, but the match was good. JD, he just seems like a pest. If you've never seen him wrestle, because nobody's watching main event, if you've never seen him wrestle, why would you want him in Judgment Day? What value is he bringing to the TV screen? Because every time he's out there, he's messing something up. Today, he almost broke Damian Priest's leg on the table before getting crossroad on top of the table. So, match was good. 3.5 tiers.
I would give it 3 3/4 tiers. I enjoyed the match. Probably my second favorite match from last night's show. Very hot opener. We had a lot of interference. Rhea Ripley, who I now deem the tribal chief of the Judgment Day, came out and she was tempting Jey Uso. I love their dynamic. They're so flirty and fun. And Jey acknowledges Rhea for being like the boss lady, like the main chick that run stuff in Judgment Day. But the distractions did not work. JD cost his crew the victory, even though he's an unofficial member of Judgment Day. And that 1D cutter combination was sick. We could have stopped right there. I was actually screaming at my TV, like, Cody, pin Finn, for God's sakes. Stop playing around, because Rhea can get on the apron and do something. But he hit the crossroads, got the win, and we have new champs. I'm happy about it. Very nice opener. Jeremy, your take on the match?
This was my favorite match of the show. I also think it was the best match of the show. And I thought we had a clear line downward through the rest of the show in terms of quality and enjoyment for me personally with the way this match was. This was also one of the best Raw main events you'll ever see. That was the level of match that it was, as well as a hot opener for a PLE. There were so many main event style twists and turns with this, with the people coming out and the injuries and the Money in the Bank briefcase being a factor and the title change and the surprise and the fans just getting a title change that they honestly probably didn't expect. There was a point in this where I was watching like, there's a lot of meat to the bone of Jay winning the title that Kevin Owens just lost and him already being pissed off at Jay for coming to Raw. There's a lot to do with that. And I am interested to see where that direction of it goes, because if those four are all going to be on the same page going into War Games and they already have the tension about the belt, that's really interesting to me. So I like that aspect of it. It reincorporates Cody back into Bloodline business. It takes them back into Friday Night SmackDown as well. There's a lot of things about this that, while you gave Jimmy and Jay a break for a couple of weeks, it does feel a little bit fresh with them back, somewhat repackaged, away from each other, and now they're meeting up again, and you want to see what's going on. There was a lot to like about this, and I also think it was the best thing on the show.
Yeah, it was a great party match. I greatly enjoyed it, and it does give a little foreshadowing, too, because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn said they're one of the winners of this match, and now it gets a bit testy with a little bit of tension now, because now Jay is once again one half of the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, and maybe Sammy wants a shot at that title. And we know how Kevin feels. He doesn't care about Jay's feelings or the friendship. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that's going to go whenever that challenge is issued on Monday Night Raw, if it happens that quickly heading into our next PLE. But I really enjoyed this match. I loved all the hijinks involved. It was a lot of fun, hot crowd, perfect opener. That's how you get it done, and I greatly appreciate that. As we get to our next match on the card, which was a 6-person tag team match involving the New Hurt Business, I would like to say, the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley versus the LWOs, Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Now, there was supposed to be a third guy in this match, but he was sight unseen for a while, as once again, theme of the night, Babyface and Pearl for a large chunk of this match. First it was Santos, and then it was Rey Mysterio getting beat down by 3 men trying to make the hot tag, but nobody was in the corner. At one point, Montez took a cheap shot at Rey and Santos, which led to Zelina Vega getting involved, which reminded me a lot of Lita back in her day as a part of Team Extreme. You get involved behind the referee's back, lands a Meteora on Montez Ford, makes him pay for the extra attack on her guys. And then in the clutch, out of nowhere, the phone call was made to Carlito, and he came out, got a great pop. I must be honest, as my co-captain laughs, I have to be real. The theme song sucks. Woo! They need to immediately get rid of that. Where is his original theme song? Find it somewhere.
Spit in the face of a cool theme song is what they did.
Absolutely.
They took a dump on that. I did not appreciate that. Like, how you go bring this guy back and you don't play the classics? But I'm gonna leave that alone. But he comes through, lands a beautiful Mr. Drop kick, lands some nice moves, and scores the win for his team. My only issue was Montez, my guy, gets pinned 1, 2, 3, not Dawkins choices. Bobby wasn't going to lose, but it was a fine match. Nothing to really write home about. It was all about the Carlito pop at the end of this particular matchup. My one takeaway is that I see Montez Ford, and I think back to Elimination Chamber earlier this year in Montreal, and he was so over as a single star. And I just feel like this is one of the missed opportunities by WWE this year to not really get that singles run going for him. And now he's a heel, and I think he's miscast in that role in this tag team with Angelo Dawkins and Bobby Lashley. But that's just me. But Jeremy, your take on this match and Carlito's return to WWE officially?
So I like the presentation of the Hurt Business when they come out and they stand on either side of the post and Bobby Lashley standing on the top of the ring. I feel like their presence is really, really strong and I like it. The question I have for you guys after I finish is how much of the radar did people seem to think that Carlito was the guy? Was it like obvious to you guys that it was going to be Carlito? Did you have a moment or two? Did anybody like suggest it? Because I caught SmackDown this afternoon because for whatever reason I have to watch it on Hulu. And as I'm watching the show, the first thing I think is, oh, it could be Dragon Lee. Mm-hmm. And then Dragon Lee is in a tag team with Cameron Grimes. It's like, well, I don't think it's going to be Dragon Lee at this point. It's like, well, what about Carlito? And then I think about the Backlash pay-per-view that they had in Puerto Rico, and he came out with Ray and helped Ray and Bad Bunny. I'm like, wow, that just seems like the apple in the fist kind of thing. Like, that is a free gimme. And so he came out, and it was just like, okay, that seemed like a logical leap, and it worked out great. And the fans reacted as if they were expecting him the entire time. So I was curious because I felt like I wasn't really in the loop with like the pulse of the WWE universe in terms of who it could be. I immediately kind of thought of it, but I'm just not sure if that was a generally accepted thought. As for the match itself, I kind of said earlier, I thought the first match was the best match. This one had the surprises and the fun. The Hurt Business can't keep losing, but this was a necessary way to just, keep a story going. I kind of think Bobby Lashley is going to end up with that U.S. title sooner rather than later.
Very good possibility. He was a great champion a few years ago, definitely carried during the pandemic era as he really found himself as a heel and the leader of the Hurt Business at the time. So it's kind of like a precursor for things to come down the road. And I will presume eventually Santos will turn on Rey Mysterio. Just a matter of when the timing is right on that. But Scott, your take on the 6-man tag team match?
Well, can we even call it a 6-man? It was more of like a 5.5 because Carlito only showed up for the last part of the match. I mean, what was he doing? Like, his flight just got there. The Uber just dropped him off. I mean,
a 5 at a timeshare.
I mean, come on, man. You just showed up at the very end of the match. Looked good. Looked jacked. Corey Graves was drooling all over him. 2.5 apples from me for this match. My son, who was still up for some reason, loved the hair. Was all about Carlito's hair. He was like, Dad, look at the hair. That guy's awesome. Look at the hair. So points for Carlito's hair. So I might add another bite of an apple for that one. The match was fine, but like nobody, I think Jeremy kind of hit it where they expected Carlito, the crowd reacted, but nobody cared until at the beginning part. Like they were hitting moves, the match was fine, but nobody was really invested into the match until Carlito came out, hit a real nice backstabber. So Jeremy, you did touch on something where you said the Hurt Business can't keep losing. I think they need to keep losing because them losing is going to be kind of the catalyst for the Street Profits making a decision. Are they going to go full-blown heel? Are they going to embrace that? Are they going to just kind of run with that and do what needs to be done? Or are they going to be like, nah, we're not doing it like that. We need to go back to how we do things. We had success doing things our way, not this way. So I think them losing is going to be that catalyst. Lashley can win on his own. We saw what he did against Rey Mysterio. He'll be fine. But as far as the Street Profits go in their matches, they probably need to keep losing till we get to that apex where it's like, all right, what are we going to do from here?
Okay.
So if they keep losing, what would be the preferred outcome for you?
I'd love them to go full-blown heel. Like what Montez was doing in this match. And like there was a point where they had Rey Mysterio in the corner. And Montez is just all up in his face, like, what's up? And then here comes Angelo. Standing over that man, like, yo, we are about to mop you. We are about to bulldoze you. And I can see them being two bully heels. And then you got Lashley as the guy who you have to face if you get through them two. Yeah. I'd love for them just to fully embrace it and just start doing whatever needs to be done.
So my issue with this match when you were talking that I realized is How would the match have been that much different if they had just introduced Carlito along with the other two at the beginning? Like, what exactly was the purpose to be served by drawing out Carlito's return to the middle of the match? If Rey and Santos had come out in the beginning of the match and then turned and then done the arm and then here's our guy, and then they could have done a completely different match. You know, like, I get that the Street Profits looked dominant against two other guys, but not dominant when the odds are evened up, rather than looking dominant against the three guys and somehow losing it via fluke at the end is a much better story for the Hurt Business than what they showed us tonight. They basically just said once the odds are even, they don't stand a chance.
Well, I think you're on to something, and it could be more so like, I think the match layout would have been a lot better because the crowd is now anticipating Carlito getting into the match. They're cheering for Carlito. They're rooting for that hot tag. Like, even when you get it to Mysterio, they're still waiting on it from Carlito. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. And that's why I was so like, when Keila mentioned it during her recap, and that's why I just laughed, because I'm like, that was just so bewildering. Like, why?
Which is too extra.
You sapped the energy. You sapped the energy out of the match right from the get-go, and it never came back until Carlito got that hot tag. And then they started diving. Like, it looked like everything picked up. They started diving out the ring. Ray, he just hit a seated senton. Santos hit a dive through the side, through the turnbuckle side. Then, like, it was a hot finish. So you sapped the energy by not giving that. And that's exactly what they should have done, because then you build to that Carlito and you have that energy throughout the match.
Mm-hmm.
They were too cute with this. Like Grace said on SmackDown, I have a phone call to make. I knew then it wasn't going to be Dragon Lee because he was right there in the building the night before, and just pull him up and say, hey, be a part of this tag team. For me, if you knew Carlito was going to be in this match, just have him out there with them off top, get the pop, suck your music aside, and let them have a really fun 6-man tag team match. But of course, Carlito made easy work. Let me get my 2 minutes of offense in there. Let me kill it, get the win for my team, and be done. Yeah, it was a great pop for 2 minutes, and everybody flew around the ring and had a time. But it could have been a more heated match with Carlito right there, getting the hot tag. The anticipation would have made more sense, and this would have been more over. It was all right, but my God, Ray swimming to a corner, nobody's there, and Zelina's like, oh my God, nobody's there. Santos, wake up. It's like, it's so over dramatic. This is just doing too much for Carlito, who I like, but once again, it's Carlito, and we're waiting for his grand entrance with 2 minutes to spare. Please.
And can we also, I know we need to move on. Can we also just talk about the fact that he walked to the ring? Like, it wasn't like he came out running to the ring to come and save the day. This dude came out, got his moment, had to rip his shirt off. And was like, all right, now I'm ready to go.
He was simply timing the crawl by Ray to make it to the rope.
and then for Rey Mysterio to have the nerve to like pause right before he made the tag. Like, bro, you couldn't have made it to the ropes by the time he got there.
It was like you were in the Sahara and you see the oasis. You're like, is that really water? Oh my gosh. I need to pause for a second and then lunge for it. I was basically like the final desperation.
I'm pissed if I'm Santos. I'm like, this is the guy you called, and he showed up late. This is the guy that you put me and your faith in, and he showed up late and just showed up to win the match.
I will tell you this though: that dive that Santos did at the very end of the
was
show
nasty.
Oh, the very end of the match, like that dude got air, that dude got cleared, that dude got velocity.
Oh, Lashley got taken out. Lashley took that one head on.
Fantastic.
That was a beautiful tope. It was beautiful. The angle was crazy too. It wasn't like a straight, out of the ring in the middle, like by the ramp. It was like in the corner by the barricade. Perfectly executed. Like I said, if they just leaned into the hotness earlier, it would have been a really fun match. We got Ray crawling over there like a sloth, trying to get a hot tag to an invisible person. Was not a fan of that. But Carlito, good job, sir. You do the bare minimum for 2 good minutes. You got your check. You got your gig. You got the win. Congratulations to you.
A true wrestling veteran.
Okay, listen, drop kick was sweet, not gonna lie. It was beautiful, must say. But before we get to our next match,
Ibushi package.
Hey, do what you
Ibushi
can.
2023. Show up for a few minutes, do the classics, get out of there.
Agreed. Don't do too much. Don't overextend yourself. But yes, Carlito followed that plan perfectly and got the win for his team. Before we get to our next match, earlier in the show at the Fastlane pregame spectacular, yes, I'm exaggerating. It was nothing spectacular about the pre-show, but I will say a couple of things were pretty amazing. First, Wade Barrett was kind of making fun of Booker T and doing the ad-libs to Trick Williams's theme song.
Come on, man.
And I was laughing because he broke Booker because he was offended by all the ad-libs. Like, yeah, Shamon. Like,
What?
Booker's like, Shamon, what? Shamon. I loved it. It was really cute. But the other highlight from the Fastlane pre-show spectacular was the official arrival of Jade Cargill. And she came through in the SUV looking gorgeous, looking like a star, had the full court press. Triple H met her, handshake, walk through the parking lot area. Muscles popping everywhere.
Oh my God.
My goodness. Booker T said shucky ducky crack crack at least 5 times.
That woman did not touch a Pizza Hut that night, I swear to God.
Despite the sponsorship, which was egregious.
There was no carb in that woman's diet.
Nothing at all. She did not eat a chicken wing. There was not a pizza being ate. Like, she came through cut. My Lord.
I guess it's just me, but I wasn't a fan of it. Why? We didn't need to see.
They wanted to show you that she's in WWE.
We know she's there.
No, not everybody. Not everybody watches the weekly programming on Raw and SmackDown and NXT. They only check in for the PLE. Those are real people like that. And they need to know that she's there, and they may not know. Like, we are talking, for the most part, an assumption of extremely online people. And there are people that are not extremely online and have no idea who this is. And this is a perfect introduction for her. I wish they would have given her a match on a 3-hour show that only had 5 matches on it. But we can't wish for everything in a mid-in-your-house level PLE. So, with that said, they had to introduce her on a PLE because not everybody watches the weekly programming.
But this is not, that's not an introduction. That is.
You will get her like, I want to know more about this person. What do I need to do? And then they'll advertise her on Raw or they'll advertise her on SmackDown, and then she'll have a match on Survivor Series. Or maybe in Saudi Arabia. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I just feel like I feel like this is a waste of her first on-screen appearance. Especially like showing up, being there in person, like, I don't know.
They gave you a taste, man. The first taste is free.
I guess, yeah, I guess so. Or 99 cents for me.
Yeah,
but yeah, but I'm glad she's there. She's absolutely a goddess, a queen.
She feels like she fits in there, in all honesty. Like, I looked at her like, yeah, this makes sense. I see it.
I'm gonna tell you what, man, and maybe it's just me, and we're gonna get to the match, but I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, like, man, I can't wait to see you stand toe to toe with Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
I just think
a lot of
that
great matchups, because if she's better in the ring than she was in AEW, and I think WWE can help her with that, there is not a ceiling to her potential.
No,
not at all. And working on the road is going to help her exponentially because you're going to get those reps at least 2 to 3 days a week. You're going to get in a rhythm. You're not going to be working once a week. You're going to get your paces in. You're going to learn fast. To really have those long length matches is going to really get you over as a star. And I think this is the perfect fit for her in WWE. I was fine with the introduction. Come through middle of the show, stun on them, let them know who you are. And then you get ready for the big introduction at a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or the next PLE, wherever WWE chooses. Jade Cargill is going to make a scene and she's going to be a star. So I do love this signing. It's going to really benefit WWE in the long run. It was a perfect segue to our next match, which was a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. It was the champion, Io Sky, versus Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Asuka says, listen, Charlotte, get out of here. Missed the face. She's gone for a while. She was just immediately missed it about a minute in, and Charlotte Flair was cut to at ringside, and they were getting her eyes flushed out. She's like, oh, I can't see. I can't see. Like, trying to wash her eyes out and make sure she's ready to get back in the ring, which was smart because it gave Io and Asuka time to cook in the ring, which I appreciated. They always work great together, work a very stiff style. They don't take it easy on each other. Eventually, Charlotte Flair gets back involved in this match. I will say this was a good night for Charlotte because sometimes, she's on and it's spectacular. And sometimes she's like, well, I'm just here for the check. But last night she was here to work. I like the double suplex spot, the cartwheel into the clothesline, which was not in slow motion this time. It was actually pretty well executed. Lands a nice moonsault on the outside to Io and Asuka as well. Goes for another moonsault, but Asuka catches her. And we have this crazy spot of I've never seen Charlotte Flair pick up someone for an air raid crash, and then Io Sky comes through with a power bomb at the same time. That was absolutely bonkers, but I loved it. And then we have the finish of the match. Bayley comes out and she tries to help her girl, and it works as Io Sky pins Charlotte Flair to retain the championship. Fun match. Scott, your thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. I thought that Charlotte Flair looked tremendous. Like I thought she looked in tremendous shape. She saw Jade coming and was like, "Yeah, let me tone up a little bit," because I ain't seen Charlotte look that cut. I feel like in a while. Like I just thought she just looked really, really good and looked like a peak physical athlete, someone who was just going to come in there and terrorize. And honestly, when she was going at both of them, it looked like she was just a beast, man. Like I mean, that's just how it came off. Like she just came off as a beast in this match. You talk about the physicality that Io and Asuka brought to each other when they were going one-on-one. I thought Charlotte brought that same physicality. There was a point in the match where Io hits a moonsault on the outside and catches Asuka. Charlotte comes back and hits a full force moonsault that takes them both out. Like I thought Charlotte was fantastic in this match. The finish came with the moonsault. That's a callback to an NXT finish where Charlotte was champion and Io hit the moonsault on her when she had the figure 8 on Rhea Ripley. So that was a nice touch right there. Charlotte getting beat by the same move, same way. I'm curious with the whole Bayley thing. This thing works. Io's not mad about it. Like I'm curious where that goes. But the match was real good. I'm gonna give it 3.5 Io moonsaults.
Oh, look at you being creative. I love that. Very cute. Shout out to Jake as well, because I talked about it earlier. He says there's been some bad questions at these wrestling scrums, but a guy asking Io Sky about possibly wrestling Taylor Swift took the cake. F me. Jake, listen, I completely agree. I was watching the press conference. I, as a wrestling fan, as a journalist that went to school for this ish, I was offended by that question. Io Sky had amazing composure. That question sucked. That person's journalism license should be revoked. Yes, I said it. It was a dumb ass question. I stand in that. Just because Taylor Swift is on camera for every NFL game does not mean that she is relevant in WWE. Get the hell out of here. But Jeremy, as I get off my soapbox on this, your take on this triple threat match. Shout out to Jake, because not a lie was told.
When I watched this match, it reminded me of the triple threat match between Asuka, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch from about 4 or 5 years ago that I saw live in San Jose. It was a fantastic match. I think it was a 3-way ladder match. Same kind of energy and urgency in the match. Crowd, when it got started, wasn't sure and ready to commit to this match and getting behind it. By the end of the match, they were fully behind it, and they had the 3 wrestlers in question had basically earned the respect of the audience throughout this whole thing. This was a match that both delighted me and frustrated the hell out of me, because the whole story about this was that Io Sky didn't need Bayley's help to win this match. And then the whole story was that she needed Bayley's help to win this match. And when she came to, she was delighted that Bayley had helped her win this match. What the actual fuck is going on with this? Like, am I watching the wrong show on Friday night?
You're not.
Exactly what is the point here? And why have you devalued the strength of Io as a champion when all you need to do is create more women that are at a main event level, and you refuse to do so when given the opportunity? I am completely frustrated by the booking at the very end of this, where they had to undercut Io as a champion, where she said she could do this on her own, and then it turned out that she couldn't. I don't understand. I loved everything about this match except for the dynamic and the theory behind the end of it. I don't know why they're going in this direction. I know that they are kind of in a holding pattern with a number of their stories going into Survivor Series, going into the holidays, but this just felt like it was a mistake of a booking decision and how they wanted to have Io look against the other two. And that has nothing to do with the fact that there were 2 times in this show where they had missed, and it turned out to not even make a damn worth of difference.
Yes, and the second miss was egregious, which we'll get to during the main event. But I have to agree with you, Jeremy. Like, Io Sky comes out, and Michael Cole is adamant, saying she wants to do this alone by herself. She doesn't need help. She doesn't need Bailey. And then Bailey comes out because apparently Io Sky needs to help. And Io's like, cool, thanks a lot. She's not mad. She's not upset. She's very thankful for the assist. I'm like, what story are we telling here? Because it's very herky jerky week to week. One week it's like, you're in my business. The next week, stay out of my business. The other week, we're together. Then the next week, we're beefing. Like, I don't know where they're going with this. I think long term, they're trying to have Io Sky versus Bailey, which I would love to see, but just make a decision, because last night was really a good opportunity for Io to stand on her own as champion without the help and retain her championship. But instead, they went the cheap route. Let's have Bailey make the save for reasons. Thanks a lot. No thanks.
Not the way I would have done things. And I'll leave it at that.
And the worst part is the finish is so where you don't need Bailey out there. Like, there's no reason to have Bailey out there for that finish when you have Io moonsaulting on top of Flair. You just don't have Asuka tap. And Asuka doesn't need to be tapping. Why?
It was an overproduced finish, and they needed Bailey out there. They have a plan, but the plan should not be to constantly undercut Io as a viable champion.
So true. And they did a little bit of that last night, which made me very sad. And it was a very good match. Very good. I enjoyed it. But the finish was definitely a choice. And hopefully they can book Io as a champion that can stand on her own. And above all else, book some strong challengers at the exact same time, because it's looking kind of thin on SmackDown. Bianca Belair is on break. And I know that we have possibly Kairi Sane coming back in November, which would be really nice to see. Jay Cargill's place to be TBD, to be determined, but just get some strong challengers lined up for Io Sky before you go with the end game, which I do believe will be Bailey at some point. But if it's not right now, get some fresh challengers lined up, please. And now we get to our semi-main event of the evening. We have Pat McAfee come out wearing the NFL customized belt representing the Colts. He gets a tremendous ovation, and it is a pep rally in Indy, because he's going to shade every crowd in America that's dry, that's dead, that's lifeless during WWE live events. But Indianapolis is different. He says they're hot, they're excited, and he's trying to petition that Indianapolis hosts a WrestleMania at Lucas Oil Stadium sometime very soon. I think Wembley might be in line for the show first, but maybe you can get something in 2025 or 2026. We'll see about it. The fans were very enthusiastic about this possibility. Indy being a tourist attraction for WrestleMania. We'll see how it goes. Not hating, but if you can get people in the house of Peyton Manning built, good for you. As he segued to John Cena and LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. And this match was, in a word, long. And it was, in another word, tedious.
Fair.
It was, in another word, or 2 words, my God, because John Cena was the babyface in peril for a lot of this match, and it made me very, very weary. And on top of that, I'm trying not to stare at his bald spot, but it was just glaring. The bald spot in his head was just glaring last night. It was just there every time it just flooped. It was right there.
Scott, don't tell us you can't see it.
Scott, you can't see the ball spot.
Listen,
you can fit a full 5-knuckle shuffle in there.
What had happened was when he turned his head, the light was reflected in my eyes, so I was blinking. So every
that
time
was a bald spot that was shining.
I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. Y'all not gonna be coming at the GOAT's bald spot.
You can get old and have a bald spot, but we're gonna call the bald spot when it happens.
Okay.
I have a bald spot, but I'm not pro wrestling, and you can't see it from the back of the camera. But when you're getting paid millions of dollars to show up and wrestle, and you got a bald spot, cosmetically somebody's gonna say something.
I gotta say it. You know, the Clark Kent cut ain't covering it no more. It's struggling, and I saw it a lot. I was like, Jesus, he's trying. God bless him. But yeah, this match was a struggle bus because Cena just kept selling and selling and selling and selling and selling. Got beat up by Solo, got beat up by Jimmy. It should be noted that when Jimmy was trying to dap up his brother, Solo curved him, which is funny to me. But what I loved about this match, besides the action, and I say love loosely because I loved LA Knight's hot tag, but on camera, on commentary, they finally admitted that Paul Heyman looks like hell. He is aged by, according to Pat McAfee, at least 3 U.S. presidential terms. He is gray. He's going through it. So when Roman Reigns returns to SmackDown for the season premiere on Friday, if he hits up just for men and the hair magically goes from white to black, we'll know. But the fact it was acknowledged really says they're leading into Paul going through a midlife crisis when Roman's not on the scene. That was a nice touch on commentary. Eventually, LA Knight gets the hot tag. He's over, makes a great comeback, and the fans are into it, chanting, yeah, for his offense. And he hits blunt force trauma on Jimmy Uso to pick up the win for his team, and they celebrate. Good match for LA Knight to be over as a star. Cena, kind of ceding the floor to him was nice to see as well. But my God, the booking was so extra with the cell and the cell and the cell and the cell and the cell that I got tired midway through. But Jeremy, your take on this match?
Did I mention that this was a 3-hour show with 5 matches on it?
Yes, you did.
Because this was a critical offender in this match. There were a number of observations I've had about this match because he pretty much said everything that happened into it. It took forever for Cena to give up the hot tag. Cena, in the press conference, basically admitted that he wrestled like shit and he needs to up his game and reassess how he wrestles because he and the WWE universe have a level of expectation about his performance, and tonight potentially wasn't really it. So that was nice of him to acknowledge. You could also acknowledge all the spots that he was calling in the middle of the ring. This guy is definitely rusty, but it's always fun to see Cena in a WWE ring. I was a little surprised to see Pat McAfee, but it made a whole lot of sense. I did enjoy Corey Graves making a subtle comment that perhaps as much as some towns are dry, Indianapolis is not. And it didn't seem like Pat McAfee was very dry tonight either. Seemed like he had tipped back a couple of beers before he got out there. And he was feeling pretty loose. So that made me laugh. And Corey Graves kind of suggested the same thing, too, that he did not drive to the arena, wink, wink. And so some people were having fun tonight. And it was a fun match. It was designed to get LA Knight over. I suspect LA Knight and Roman Reigns are going to be having a match very, very soon based off of the outcome and the Paul Heyman, we've got a problem, speaking into his phone as they're leaving the ringside area. And I think if the mission was to get LA Knight over even more so than he was before, it was a success. If you want to analyze any other aspect of the match of it being a success, I don't know if the metrics are there.
I agree. The layout choices, but the outcome made sense. LA Knight gets to win. He's over. The fans love him. You get to rub shoulders with greatness with John Cena, who is really saying you got next. And that is a great endorsement for him. And I saw the press conference. It was train wrecky for them. But, LA Knight is hella charismatic, Me and Scott kind of called this a year or so ago. If he ever made it to the main roster, he had the tools to get over. I did not predict he would be this over this quickly, but look at him. It's really amazing to see. I think there's still work to be done. I think there is higher heights he can go to in terms of really finding himself as a fully realized performer. But right now he's cooking. There's no doubt about it. But Scott, your take on this tag team match, which went a little bit too long for yours truly.
First off, Jimmy's song is a banger. I think it's much better than Jey Uso's. How do I describe it? It sounds like he tried to mix his own words on top of the old song for Jey.
I
And Jimmy
like
just sounds.
it though. I like it.
Yeah, but it just. I don't know. There's something off about it. It's fine.
It's
It's not as good as Jimmy's.
I get it.
It's not as good as Jimmy's. Let me put it that way. Jimmy got a banger. That joint hits, and you're like, all right, yeah, I'm with that. I've enjoyed watching Jimmy get ghosted on the Dap Up for the last couple weeks. That's been great to see as well. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Keila. Yeah, this match was long. There were moments, when they were first getting into it, Solo and Cena, where you kind of look and you're like, oh, it kind of brings me back to watching Umaga and Cena a little bit. So that was cool. But then the match just kept going and going. I appreciate the fact that they're trying to build to the LA Knight tag, but you could have just cut a little bit of the heat segments, especially when Jimmy would just go and grab him, put him right back into a headlock for a couple more times. And then Cena's like, all right, let's sit here for a minute, let the crowd build. I mean, but I put some of that on the cameraman though, Jeremy. You know what Cena's gonna do. You know how Cena operates. You
don't put this on Stu, buddy. You do not put this on Stu.
I'm putting it on Stu, man. Stu knows Cena and needs to protect Cena on that one. Stu's got to protect his boy.
Cena knows where the camera is at all times. Cena's a movie star. He knows where the camera is. You do not make excuses for a movie star.
And he didn't. He didn't. But I'm still saying Stu should have still had.
Making excuses.
Stu should have protected his boy. He still should have protected his boy. You notice Cena ain't dap him up. That's why Stu didn't look out for him. Cena ain't give him no shout out. No, hey, Stu, my man. Nothing of that. Stu was like, oh, word? Watch this.
Oh,
watch these cuts I'm about to give you.
And it's a likely story. I could buy into that.
2 3/4 attitude adjustments. We didn't quite get all the way over on that third one.
I did actually adjusting these tonight.
There was a spot in the middle of the match, and I don't know why I got so fired up for it, but Cena was about to give Solo Sikoa an attitude adjustment, and then he got super kicked in the face, and he wasn't able to do it. And for whatever reason, I was so disappointed that Solo didn't get the attitude adjustment on that one. And I don't know if there's going to be a match between those two, but there was also a press conference question that Cena ducked when somebody asked, hey, do you think you two will be challenging for the tag titles anytime soon? And Cena just kind of hitched. And he's like, I mean, we're undefeated, and just kind of like trying to move on to the next question. So that's actually kind of interesting. LA Knight and John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso for the tag titles. That's a Saudi Arabia match.
I know we moved on from, but you're right though. Like, there's a lot of matches like that you could do, and like all of a sudden these little random pairings are putting up. Yeah, that's a big time. I think that's a bigger. That's a big time.
That's a Saudi Arabia match.
That can main event a PLE.
Yeah. If Roman's not there, that's a big match to have.
For sure.
Definitely. And they teased that during the Trainwreck press conference. They said we're undefeated. We have won one match, but we're in line for a title shot. So let's go get it. While Cena's still here.
Claim the opportunity while you're at it. I mean, it probably maybe wasn't in the blueprint, but hey, you don't say no to a title opportunity.
No, it's right there. You have the resume to back it up. Listen, guys, we won one match. We're undefeated. We're gonna challenge somebody. So let's make it spicy. Let's make it interesting. So two teams vying for a shot, and I love it. And I know the Judgment Day wants a rematch, and they'll get it and they'll lose, I believe. But all in all, I do like the spiciness of these random makeshift tag teams vying for shots because it's a thing to do, and it gets Cena on TV still and going after a championship in the year 2023. I am not mad at it. As we now get to our main event of the evening, which is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It is a last man standing match involving Shinsuke Nakamura. And there is a joke I would not repeat on this show. I just thought he looked very nice in white. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. He looked very nice in white. I saw something on the timeline. I said choices. I would not have tweeted that.
I thought that man looked like a long glass of milk. That's what he looked like to me walking down the ring. He looked like a long glass of milk.
I don't know how much New Japan you guys watch, but that was the most Tokyo Dome entrance like outfit that you could see on two wrestlers in a main event. Just Seth's jacket that was propped up with voluminous like stick and just
you mean Becky's jacket? You mean Becky's jacket? That was Becky's jacket. Okay, that was not Seth. No, I'm just saying. Okay. He definitely got that out the closet, though.
I mean, there was some tailoring done, and that was like he should have worn that during the match, and his back would have been fine. But he had to take it off. Nakamura looked as much of the New Japan Pro Wrestling version of Nakamura in his outfit coming out there, and they called him the King of Strong Style. I'm going to use this cheap plug real quick to say, speaking of Strong Style, we'll be reviewing the New Japan review and Destruction to Ryogoku Monday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on the same Fight Game Media YouTube channel as we get back to the King of Strong Style in this match.
Nice plug.
Their outfits were awesome. Very New Japan.
They were tremendous. I loved them. Seth's jacket was ridiculously beautiful. I loved it. It was egregious. Somewhere in Japan, Okada was like, you know what? I want that for my entrance at Wrestle Kingdom. Okay, in January, I want that exact aesthetic. I loved their outfits, I must say. And I have to say, this was my favorite match from last night's PLE. This was strong style Nakamura at his best. We have not seen this version of Nakamura in a very long time. And I think one of the knocks on him is like, when we're going to get that New Japan strong style Nakamura? You know, he's been through a lot in his career. Injuries have piled up. You want to work your own pace these days. But I thought he came through last night by delivering a very dynamic match. And Seth Rollins, I have to say, in this setting, this guy did make you think he was going to lose at a couple of times during this match. He took a hellacious beating. His back went through it. I know there's been a narrative for the last couple of months, bad back, how he's going to overcome it. But I thought this was the best selling of the back injury to date, because he took bumps on the floor, took bumps on this Casper bed. WWE tried it. He bounced so gently off the bed onto the floor. And then he took some crazy bumps to the announce table. Ada Kinshasa through a table. Seth was on the ladder. And this moment here, I have to say, that Jeremy alluded to with the mist gone awry 2 times, and the person that gets sprayed is actually going to be okay. Shinsuke Nakamura sprayed this egregious amount of red mist in Seth's face. And for a moment, I thought I was watching Carrie, because Seth was red all over. He was a bloody mess. He went through the table and he kept getting up. He kept getting up at like 9 3/4. It was great tension. It was great drama down the stretch. But eventually, Seth lands a pedigree on the floor to Shinsuke Nakamura. Still, well, not a pedigree. He delivers a pedigree on the table by the crowd, and a foot stomp, then a Falcon Arrow through the table to finally keep the man down for the count of 10, and Seth retains the championship. I thought it was a great match, their best match since they started this rivalry about 2 months ago, but Seth proves one of the best in the world, and Nakamura showed up big last night in Indy. But Scott, your thoughts on this main event to WWE Fastlane?
First off, 3 3/4 stomps for this match. That fourth stomp just didn't, he moved his head a little bit, so he couldn't quite land that fourth one. The match was really good. I thought they built it towards the end really well. I did buy into the Nakamura spot with the miss. I don't know why, but I just bought into that. I was like, that's a good one. That got me. That sold me. That was a good spot right there. Nakamura on top of the ladder is a great visual. He's got the red mist coming down his mouth. Great visual right there. they have a really good chemistry. I don't know, I don't know if there's any plans for Nakamura going forward, but I hope they continue and just let him just run through people. If you don't have anything planned for him, just let him run through people, because him being this vicious guy who just is just decimating people and targeting limbs, I like it. I'm here for it. So I hope they have something planned for him after this, because he's done too good of a job to just let him fall back to the wayside. As far as Rollins go, man, real good match, but it's like, again, what's next? Who's next? What we got going on, bro? Like who's the next person we're gonna stretch two PLEs out of? You know what I mean? Like, what you got going on next? But the match was good. Shinsuke Nakamura does really well in these last man standing matches. He had a great one with AJ Styles. So yeah, he does good in these settings.
Agreed. Good question about what is next for Seth Rollins. I do not know who's next in line. I think long term, I do like the prospect that Drew McIntyre, once he really gets into this heel run, give those guys a chance to cook in front of people. They were denied that nearly 4 years ago when he's working at an empty PC. Run it back. Both guys would be more over because of it. But yeah, I enjoyed this match a lot. Shinsuke Nakamura came to work. Seth is one of the best to do it in the game today, so I was satisfied. But Jeremy, your take on this main event?
If you record scratch and go back to the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned that the first match was my favorite match on this card, and It was a slow decline all the way to the very end. I didn't like this match at all. I thought it was too much. I thought that it was designed to make Seth Rollins look like he was superhuman and incapable of being able to lose to Nakamura. There were spots in this match that I watched and said that should have been the finish. The red mist off the ladder going through the table, that should have been the finish. That was so potent of a visual that when Nakamura didn't win right there, I almost was like, Nakamura's not winning this match. And I never really got the impression that he was going to. And there was something that we didn't really touch on. Right before this match, they had a vignette with the Judgment Day backstage, and Damian Priest was declaring that he was going to go out there and he was going to cash in. And Rhea Ripley told him, hey, no, you're not. Your knee's all messed up. This isn't the night. You said you'd do it when you were fully healthy. And when this match was over, you're like, Damian Priest probably should have cashed in tonight. This was a perfect opportunity for him to do so. And so that took away a bit of tension for me personally in watching the match, because of the way that it was designed and the way the entire show was designed was giving you this impression that this could possibly happen. And now we are not owed this in any way, shape, or form, but the WWE very deliberately knew what they were doing when they laid out the show the way that they were. And so that I found frustrating. The other thing is I did not like the way that Nakamura lost. Yes, I think he took 2 curb stomps, a pedigree, but he actually finally lost to a Falcon Arrow. A Falcon Arrow, which is a setup move that I don't remember the last time Seth Rollins beat anybody with a Falcon Arrow, when he went off the top rope and does it into the middle of the ring, let alone off to a table with not nearly as much air clearance that needs to happen. It was a spectacular looking match. If you wanted to say that you really like this match, I wouldn't argue with you. But I think that the goals were misguided in here. I think trying to tell everyone, yes, Seth Rollins is that dude again and again and again. Yes, we get it. Oh, he's got a bad back. I'm sure a number of wrestlers have a bad back. But yes, if you want to use that as the story, and he is defending the belt and he is just continually hurt, much like stories that have done in the past, Orange Cassidy and people in New Japan, it could tale as old as time, and it's fine. But it's not original, and it's not particularly original this time around. And so it felt like a lot of smoke and mirrors. It felt like it was a fun match to have, but I do wish that the first match they had and the second match they had would have been one super match, and I wouldn't have felt like Nakamura comes away feeling lesser as a star out of this, and Seth Rollins feeling so much bigger, because it didn't need to be that way.
That is a very fair take and assessment, and I do appreciate it very much. And you're not wrong. I do believe that when Seth went through that table with the Miz, that could have been the end of the match. In fact, when he went through the table with the Kinshasa, that really could have been the end of the match. And I think that Michael Cole was begging Seth to stay down. What are you doing? You're out of your mind, trying to talk him off the ladder. But I think there was a couple of moments when I thought to myself, are they really going to go with Nakamura? But I figured they weren't. So I was just prepping myself for Seth's victory one way or the other. Were they doing too much at times? Perhaps. But I do think this was their best match they put together. But I do think it's kind of disappointing too, because I think they put a lot of effort into reinventing heel Shinsuke Nakamura. This is his best version here in WWE. And I hope that he can bounce back and get some wins at some point. But eating losses back to back pretty decisively, where does he go from here? I do not know. But I like the presentation of Nakamura, but the booking, choices.
He's going to be upper mid-card. He shouldn't be challenging Gunther or being below him in any way, shape, or form. But there is a clear line between Seth Rollins and Gunther that Nakamura is going to be comfortably perched in and probably will not change in the foreseeable future, if for the rest of his career. He's kind of going to be in like a Sheamus adjacent area where he's going to be in like high mid-card feuds, but he's never really going to be the guy.
That is a fair, accurate assessment. You're not wrong. And that's not a bad spot to be, in all honesty, at this stage in his career. But a couple of more items before we go. Before we get to our next item, a little bonus time. It is now time to put a final score on Fastlane 2023. So, Scott, you've been very cute with your scores tonight using various finishes. So, how do you give your final score for Fastlane? How cute can you go for the grand finale as we wave the checkered flag?
I got 6 shucky duckies for for Fastlane on this one. Nothing spectacular, but it definitely wasn't a bad show.
Would you say it was in your lane or in your house adjacent?
Sir, not in your lane.
Stay in your lane, in your house.
This is more of a Tuesday in Texas. It's more of one of those type of shows for me. But yeah,
you don't want to admit it. It was very in your house, like
it was. It absolutely was. That's all it was. But it's fine. I enjoyed it.
There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also an honesty to it.
I do want to say this though, and you touched on it. But there's absolutely no reason that a 5-match show with no in-ring segments. I'm not counting Pat McAfee's little cheerleading hype segment. Should be 3 hours long.
No, not at all.
Should have been out of here at 10:30 latest.
Yes.
Should have been clocked down in bed already.
Jeremy's like, I could have been in bed an hour ago. But they stretched this thing out. But Jeremy, your score.
Look, you are paying $5 a month to watch this show. 99 cents. You're paying a ridiculously cheap amount to watch this PLE. When I say it's in your house level, you are getting a great deal because those in your houses were not $5. They were way more money, and they were, for the time period, a lot less quality. But the expectation of quality that we have for pro wrestling in this day and age, and what we got for this and for that value versus what we get on top 4, top 5 WWE PLEs, I feel entirely comfortable saying this was an in-your-house adjacent show.
That is a fair assessment. In your house lane.
In your house lane.
See? Very catchy. I need Scott to institute now customized scores for finishes now for his reviews. I love it. Came out of nowhere. I will also give this show not quite 6 Shucky Ducky Quack Quacks, but I'll give it 7 Shucky Ducky Quack Quacks out of 10. I like the show. It went by quickly for me, despite, some sluggish segments here and there in terms of the babyface being in peril a little bit too long. It was an easy breezy Saturday night for me. I enjoyed it for what it was, a little bit better than Payback, which was honestly a 2-match show. I like 3 matches from this show, so that's a good balance. Very similar to NXT No Mercy last Saturday as well. So back-to-back shows by WWE that I enjoyed. I got my money's worth. I paid my $2.99
All the
Xfinity
babyface fan
discount
favorites won.
come through. Exactly. All the heel heat we got on TV did not translate on this show. The faces won. Look at that.
And Io, but everybody liked Io. Nobody hated Io.
No, Io is the greatest, sweetest, most adorable champion, and she does not want to fight Taylor Swift.
Oh, you know what? I will give an extra bonus to the main event. There's one thing that they had in that match that I was like, hell yeah, and that was nunchucks.
Yes. Shinsuke using a nunchucks. Yes.
That boy looked like Michelangelo with them things.
We would have failed as a podcast if we did not mention the nunchucks. Those were rad.
He was swinging them accurately, and he went for
goodness.
the knees. He went for the back. He went for every body part he could hit. I loved it. Loved it.
I don't think I've ever seen nunchucks in a wrestling match before. And that's legit. I don't think I've ever seen it before.
And used various times as a weapon. He choked Seth with them, stomped him with the nunchucks.
I thought about Daniel Bryan choking the announcer, and I'm like, wow, boy, have times changed.
We are having a loud choking in the year 2023. Let this be 2010. Nakamura will be fired by WWE because the sponsors would have called and
I don't think Endeavor cares about choking.
they don't care. Like, listen, we have UFC. This is like natural for us. We advocate choking and knockout. So do you with the nunchucks.
Yeah, nunchucks. I'm very happy I got to see that. That helped me with that match. I 100% admit.
Yes, nunchucks make everything better. But what also makes everything better is a man on the scene, a guy live and in person watching Monday Night Raw in his hometown. Jeremy was there. He was in the crowd. It was a hot night. He saw some fun wrestling. So Jeremy, give me your in-person thoughts from being at the SAP Center for Monday Night Raw.
I went door to door from my front door to the SAP Center in 20 minutes. I left at 4:25, got there at 4:45, and I was invited by Ben Cruz of The Ringer, and I joined Garrett Gonzalez of this very show, and we sat second row behind the barricade at WWE Raw this past weekend, or this past Monday, and it was a fantastic show. I've never been that close, so it was kind of a bucket list item, and I'm very thankful that I got to be at a live taping show for that. The show started, and we didn't even get the regular credits because it started with a wild brawl between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and then Raquel Rodriguez came out, and then the place just went nuts for Rhea Ripley when she came out as a huge baby face, and that was a fantastic moment to see. A couple of the other highlights through the night were 3 different appearances by Cody throughout the show, beginning, middle, and the end. We got a fantastic for the live crowd match between Gunther and Ciampa in the main event. And then completely shockingly, we got the reuniting of DIY, which was something that Garrett and I were talking when we were in the show. And we're like, what do you do with Ciampa if he loses this match? We kind of figured he was going to lose this match. And it's like, Gargano, DIY. It's like, has he been around? I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's probably coming back when this hit. Like, and hey, look, he showed up and it was great. I would say that if you have an opportunity to go to a WWE live show now, you should definitely do it. There was a time, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I've gone to a lot of WWE Raws and SmackDown tapings where the in-person experience was lacking because they weren't recognizing having fun in the commercial breaks and video packages and engaging with the audience. This was a completely different experience, and it was a lot of fun, and the 3 hours went by incredibly quick. It definitely helps that I was hanging out with Ben and Garrett, and I got to see John LaRocca and his family. They were sitting a few rows behind, and got to take a couple pictures of them for their memories. And just honestly, if you're able to go to a WWE show live with a group of friends and just enjoy yourself, there are worse ways to spend a Monday or Friday night.
Very cool review. And I do like the fact that you noted they kind of changed up the format for the live shows.
Oh, yeah.
That it's not a slog to get through with so much crap. And it's a more fan-friendly experience, which I do like because, yeah, at a time it was like, ugh, it was a lot.
I had gone to a Raw maybe 4 or 5 years ago where the highlight was Braun Strowman breaking a guitar over Elias's head on the ramp. And that was literally the most exciting thing that happened in the entire show. And that wouldn't even have rated in terms of the excitement that we had on this show. Starting with the opening brawl, we didn't even get the opening pyro. So it was a completely different experience. It just felt like they were kind of having a cowboy moment of the Raw because it was such a light show. There was no Kevin Owens. There was no Sami Zayn. They were kind of recycling the same people over and over again. And things just kind of, it didn't feel quite so structured and manufactured. And I don't know if that helped with the fun factor of the show.
I think it did, because when it's forced and manufactured, it does take away from the fan experience. But one quick question for you, since you were there live, how hated is Dominic Mysterio in person?
Oh, that was fantastic. That was the first time he ever got booed, was in San Jose.
It was, a year ago.
Last time it happened, yeah. And so it was just kind of like, I think he remembered. And so he kind of got a little bit of a smile and then just kind of played into it. But no, that reaction was incredibly genuine. And I was really impressed with it because it was so opposite from the huge babyface reaction that Rhea Ripley had gotten. And when she came out at the beginning, it was big. It was really, really big. And I don't know if it was caught on the cameras, but that place was like, that's the one right there. Rhea's our wrestler right there. And that was a big thing. The other thing is, I thought the Nakamura segment in person went really well. But when I read and watched how it played off on TV, I get how it didn't translate well. But in the arena, the way that he pre-cut his video and then reacted to the screen and the way it played out back and forth, it worked for me personally. And then I heard everyone hated it watching it on live.
Yeah, because they had it queued up. Like, how did he know when Seth is going to be down to queue up his countdown?
And I was like, this is magic. I am so impressed with their timing right here. I don't have questions. I'm just, okay, that's pretty good timing.
Well, I'm just glad that you got to see DIY's finisher live in person, because we didn't see it on the USA Network because it got cut off.
It was fantastic. I enjoyed all of it. I was looking at the clock too. I'm like, it's 8:01. What's going? And I was like, is this airing for YouTube afterwards? Because I understood they just missed their cue. And I'm like, that's good.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story about your Monday Night Raw experience. I enjoyed the show, your testimonial, telling people, listen, go to a live show. It's different now. The formatting is better. You're going to have a fun time. It's a hot ticket these days across the country for a Monday Night Raw, a SmackDown, house shows too. Seems like it's a lot of fun, an easy breezy show to get through, and you get to see stuff that you don't get to see on TV. And that is an added bonus in of itself. As we get to our final segment, which is a little bit of bonus time as well, because we have someone that Scott knows very, very well. And this is giving me some soap opera vibes because I know a lot about bad fathers. And the topic of the day is a list of the 10 worst fathers in the WWE, courtesy of Philip A. Donnell. And Scott knows this person very, very well, I do believe.
Yeah, shout out to Phil. I had a podcast called Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, and Phil was a faithful listener, contributor, sent in questions and stuff like that. We read on the show, came over to Fight Game, supporting us over here. So yeah, shout out to Phil. He hears us and knows that we don't like bad fathers. We don't tolerate bad fathers. Only good fathers over here. You know what I'm saying? That's the only people I'm rocking with. So shout out to Nate and Jay as well. Shout out to them. Yeah, I figured we could do this as a team. We can knock this out. 6-man tag it. Get the belts. However y'all want to do it. But I figure I'll start the ball with we're gonna start with Ted DiBiase. And the reason I choose Ted DiBiase is because he didn't leave his son enough monies where he had to cheat the welfare. So we're going to start with Ted DiBiase.
Oh, that was a personal cut. Jeremy, another
If we're
bad
doing
father.
this like a first-round draft pick, I'm taking Vince McMahon. And I don't think I need to explain myself.
Yes. Self-explanatory. Okay. He was on my list too. A bad father that I know, Paul Bearer, a terrible father to Kane and The Undertaker.
Oh my. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Never came to see his daughter wrestle. And now she's not wrestling. So shout out to you, Rock.
How about Rocky Johnson? Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I think Rocky's worse than Dwayne, though. I'll take Dwayne over Rocky.
We're talking bad fathers. I don't know what the metric here is.
No doubt. Touche.
Okay. In storyline only, the late great Eddie Guerrero, because he threatened to whoop Lo Dom Dom on live television because he wanted to take custody of him in a ladder match.
I'm gonna do the flip side of that. Rey Mysterio, because he didn't threaten to whoop Dominic live on TV until it was too late and had to do it at WrestleMania. So I'm gonna go to the flip side. I know we've turned a new leaf with Rey Mysterio, and hopefully we don't get booyaked off of here. But Rey Mysterio definitely makes the cut.
How about Superfly Jimmy Snuka for spending too much time doing bad things with people who weren't in his family and not spending enough time training his family to be good wrestlers?
And Keila, you thought mine was a shot.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. I wasn't prepared for bad father.
Me either. This is a surprise.
I figured I'd just take a shotgun blast and just hit whatever I could.
We're
Shells
freestyling
flying
in here.
everywhere.
I mean, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I mean,
That's
you're more than just a bad
self-explanatory.
father,
It's
but
self-explanatory.
I'm a bad father.
Person.
Yeah.
Anyway. Bad.
Okay. I might be reaching.
I don't know. Let's see.
No, that counts. Jimmy's good.
Jimmy's a good pick.
Yeah, Jimmy's a good pick. He definitely
good
makes
pick.
the cut.
Yes.
What about Rikishi?
I was about to say that, Jeremy. You read my mind.
What
And
do
you
do?
know
I
why.
mean, raising a bunch of bad kids don't know right from wrong. Man.
And he ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
How many times does somebody have to take a thumb to the throat before you realize, like, hey, maybe that could hurt somebody? Like, how do you raise your kids like that? What is wrong with you?
Kids like that. I'm gonna go with Cowboy Bob Orton, simply because he could have gave Randy a weapon, never handed down the cast.
That's a good one. That is a solid one. Mike Rotunda? IRS?
What did he do?
I don't know.
What did he do? You just name his fathers now? What did he do?
I mean, if you raise your kid and say, hey, go to the WWE instead of like real life skills, maybe that might
Sir.
be that.
You just naming dads. What did he
He's
do?
naming dad. Like, IRS didn't do anything to
He
anybody.
didn't do nothing.
He just cheated the IRS, but he.
Okay, there you go. He's a bad father. He took money away from his family.
Oh my God.
He had to pay off a debt to Ted back. It's full circle back to Ted DiBiase. This is
Yes.
all
like,
Ted's
money is
fault.
the root of all evil here. If you want to hold people accountable, if they do something wrong, their reasons aren't why they still did something wrong.
All roads lead back to Ted DiBiase.
Everyone's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
They do.
I think we did a good job of bringing this back full circle. So
Even though it got super weird in the middle of it, I think we recovered.
Oh yeah, we're back on track.
Yeah,
Great question, Phil.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me look at my list here. Is there anyone on that list here? No, I don't see anybody. Shane McMahon, is he a bad father?
Well, his son was out there tonight, so I don't think he's a bad father.
Well, no, he's a
running
great
back.
father for the Nepo baby status.
What What did Shane do?
We trying to figure out what did Shane do.
How talented is his son as a running back?
I have no earthly idea.
The word is not very. So him being on the football team
Hoosiers.
should tell you all you need to know about that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to catch a game next week on ESPN Plus and see what's going on. Scott says no. Don't check it out. Don't see him do something. Okay, I can understand that.
Let's just picture it being better than
Is
what it
Ric
could
Flair a bad
potentially
father?
be.
I was about to think, is Ric Flair a bad father? Yeah, he
I mean,
wanted
Charlotte's
to
a
have
15-time champion.
like he turned on his daughter to have sex with Lacey Evans. So yeah, that's a pretty bad father.
I was gonna invoke the Lacey
I
part.
forgot about
The
that.
Lacey part
I forgot about
definitely
that.
got kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he's kissed multiple. Didn't he kiss Becky Lynch
Yes.
during their feud?
Yes. Terrible
So,
father.
Yeah. Good call, Ric Flair. How do we connect him to Ted? Stop.
Oh my gosh, we need one more bad father. One
Rick Steiner.
Oh, you.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, you right. You right.
Yeah.
He messed
Look
up
at
his
it on that
bag.
one. Rick Steiner says that he should be called a bad father. He set a bad example, and we are not on board with that.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick's good. Rick's a good one to go out on.
Yeah, that's a nice note to round out the show on. So, Philip, we got 10 bad fathers. We found a way through because, listen, I couldn't do it by myself. Scott had to get some help from Jeremy. Jeremy came through by listing fathers who really didn't do anything wrong, but he still
I
found
kind of
a
went
case
over the
against
threshold
him anyway.
trying to like scrape. I was scraping for data here, and it just I went a little too far, and I apologize.
Jeremy said, "Take that for data."
Data. There we go. Fizdale lives on this show somehow, some way. We love him for it. And with that, that is a wrap for this extra special edition of our Fastlane review, recapping the highs and lows of In Your House Lane 2023, the new name of this show. I want to thank my co-captain or my captain, Perky Scott Young, and our extra special guest, Jeremy Feinstone, for joining us today to recap everything from WWE Fastlane, which actually felt like, by the theme, unimportant show.
Thank you,
Keila. Oh, thank you, Keila. It's always a pleasure to chop it up and talk all things WWE. This was fun. I enjoyed the show. Looking forward to the next time we get to go live, have these hot mics, because you never know what we're going to talk about.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy being on this show, and I always like throwing Scott off of his game. And Scott, I will say this: you and your Valentine hammers, I wish you the best of luck in our fantasy football matchup tomorrow in the Fantasy Fight Game Media. It will be a pleasure to chop you up.
Oh, so here's first off, I don't wish you pleasure, luck, any of that.
Fine.
I hope
I don't need it.
you,
I don't need it. It's cool.
Next week. I'm letting everybody know what the deal is.
Please.
I'm coming with the dub. I'm coming home with the dub. I'm beating him.
Please keep a receipt, win, lose, or draw. I will be delighted.
It's all on camera. We all on camera. We're all here.
That's all right. Yeah. I hope that your Valentine hammers find love at the bottom of a pit of Keila, take us out of here before we get even more snippy.
I love this war. I love this rivalry between you two. I love how fantasy football brings out the snark in my guys. But Scott and I'll be back next week on the paid feed on Patreon, recapping the week that was in WWE, which includes the Tuesday night war between NXT and AEW Dynamite. And NXT is going to bring The Undertaker to the war, to the battle, based on the dong we heard during the commercial. So that's going to be quite the show to review next week as they go head to head against Dynamite Tuesday night. It's going to be something, the numbers will be analyzed and we'll figure out how it goes, but it should be a very fun week on top of the season premiere of SmackDown on Fox with the return of Roman Reigns, Triple H, and a lot more. And we'll see what Monday has in store for us as well, covered on the Patreon for your listening pleasure next Monday morning. So until then, for myself, for Perky Scott Young and Jeremy Feinstone, that is a wrap for WWE Fastlane or In Your House Lane. Take care Bye-bye.